Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Heaven on Earth. I'm Michael the Leo Mystic, and this is where I channel the sacred guidance for this astrological week. A very, very special astrological week of the 21st until the 28th or the 27th of December. So this is pretty much the last week that we're in, and this is exciting. We're starting off the week with a winter solstice, which is the darkest moment of the whole year, and we're going to come to that. But before we go there, the astrological course is starting on the 9th of January, and the link for that is in the description below. This is Learning Astrology from Scratch 101, and this is going, through all the beginner stuff. So you're going to learn to interpret your own chart, but also, this is not astrology. This is not regular astrology where you're just gonna, do this stuff and, interpret all the symbols. But this is where you go deep into the soul of a chart reading. So, okay, the darkest moment of the year. Is it recording? Yes. Jesus Christ. So the darkest moment of the year, and guess what? Right now, whilst I'm recording, Mercury Cazimi, which means the sun, our light in Sagittarius at the 29th degree, critical point of truth in Sagittarius, the truth, before we solidify. And Mercury, the mind, it's not really at home in Sagittarius, it's its fall. So it can get opinionated, but this is sacred guidance. So this is where we broaden our mind. So it's like Sagittarius, Mercury, it's like the mind is open, right brain. And then now with a Cazimi, this is a major realization right before the great conjunction, which is happening on Monday. And we pretty much have a Mercury Cazimi, which means that insights, sudden realizations at the 0 degree of Capricorn as well, on the freaking great conjunction. So, and this is actually happening with all the planets. There is no planet that is alone except for Mars and Pluto. So that's interesting. But we're going to come to that. But Mars is still squaring Pluto. So every planet is making an aspect. And then we have the Moon conjuncting Neptune. Jupiter conjuncting Saturn. Venus. Okay, Venus is trining Chiron. So these, but they're still making an aspect over to Chiron. So we got the Sun and Mercury, right? So this is... What is Source saying? Pair up. Pair up. And that's what Uranus is all about. It's the group, it's the community, it is renewal, it is science, but it is pairing up with your like-minded peers. You cannot do this alone. Because let me tell you what happens when you're alone. Because Venus and Mars are the personal planets. Well, Mars squaring Pluto. So that is, if you are alone, Mars in Aries, you're going to face Pluto, death. You're going to face the dangers of the Capricornian manipulation, force. Manipulation is just force, because fear. And the patriarchy is Capricorn. Pluto is there, so it is dying, it's crumbling down, and because of it, obviously, it's like the last trying to grasp a hold of the community, of the people, of society. So that's what's going on. So if you're alone fighting, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. And then we have Venus in Sagittarius. It's pretty beautiful, but it's trining Chiron. So still, even like, that's like that weirdness that you feel. It's healing. It's a healing aspect. If you explore and, in a way, dare to broaden your mind and see the future and have hope for the future. But still, we got the South Node there. So alone is not the answer. No. Sun conjunct Mercury. Insights that come about Sagittarian qualities, which is the truth, which is about philosophies. It's the laws of nature, understanding how nature works, or seeing, because the South Node is there and it is squaring it's squaring Neptune, seeing that religion is dogmatic, trying to, that they're trying to place a new religion on you, which is science. And that's the danger of Jupiter, Saturn in Aquarius. The fixed mind about how things should be. And if they're, if they're going to keep imposing lockdowns on us and we don't take action, because Mars in Aries is about taking action, but not alone, together. But if we don't take action, if you're not courageous, then Pluto's going to win Capricorn. And it's not about winning, or it's not you against me. And I think that's the fight. I think that's the game that they're playing. But still, if you're gonna dream and be caught in the illusion, because Moon is on Neptune that day. And I haven't even talked about the Great Conjunction, which is, the whole biggest event in freaking 20 and 800 and 400 and 200 years. So it's pretty darn important. So I'm gonna come to that, but I have to build up. I have to build this shit up, So, Pluto's going to win, meaning ego is going to keep fighting the battle of like you versus me and blaming and fighting and, black versus white and the rich versus the poor and the scientist versus religion. That's the bullshit you got to transcend. And that hopefully is that realization of Sagittarius, Mercury Cazimi, that we got to have. But this is about studying. We've had a whole month of studying that we could have done, and I've talked about this. So tomorrow, today, when you're seeing this, the 21st of December, is about solidifying that new philosophy, those new theories, those new, I want to say beliefs, but it's not about beliefs. It's about a knowing. Because a belief is a conviction. It's got to be a deep, deep knowing, realizations that are there. It's not just, because that's the whole point of that Capricorn thing, is that it's practical and that it's earth. So, and it is kind of heavy. So it is about practice. It's practicing it. It's about solidifying it. It's about testing it. It's about, does this work? What does not work? Where is it a false belief? And then, because it's funny because, there's so many aspects. It's just everything is connected now. The source is making sure you're not missing this day. So then a Mercury Cazimi in Capricorn on the freaking winter solstice, that is about seeing the dark. That is about realizing that, oops, humanity is about to be extinct. If we don't take action here, if we don't wake the fuck up. And then Moon and Neptune squaring the nodes is about really, our heart is open. Moon on Neptune, our heart is open. It has no boundaries of whatsoever. It brings dreams and it brings illusions, for sure. And it brings blind devotion. So it is blind devotion if you're going to believe the stories that they're telling you and as the media is telling you, you're fucked. But if you think for yourself, which is what the Uranus square Jupiter-Saturn is actually really about, I'm going to come to that. But if you think for yourself, and if you practice your connection to source, to the divine, to the field, realizing that the fifth dimension is intertwined with the third dimension, and that's the goal of humanity, and that's the goal of being alive, well, then you're not really going to have to go through such a delusionment. The parts where you're not doing it is obviously where you're going to have to go through delusionment. But it is squaring the nodes, which means that it needs to happen. So in order to really, that heart that is open, we have to look at Sagittarius, the truth, and a larger truth. South node in Sagittarius, which makes Jupiter important, which makes Jupiter-Saturn important. Interesting. And also Mercury, because the North Node is in Gemini. So we have to do our own research. We have to, connect with our like-minded people and with our close environment. And that's where the conversation needs to be. But even Mercury is now with the Sun on the solstice point. So this is crucial. Jupiter is doing massive, massive stuff. And Mercury is doing massive, massive stuff. It's a Mercury Cazimi in Capricorn. And now, this is where I talk about Jupiter-Saturn. Because it is linked to the moon on Neptune squaring the nodes, which is spirituality, source, a dialogue with God. But in order for us to do that, we need to Mercury Cazimi solidify the philosophies of the last 30 days that we've been going through, and really get down to business. And Jupiter-Saturn, and Mercury and Sun makes Saturn important. The South Node in Sagittarius makes Jupiter important. Do you see how everything is linked? So Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is about raising the bar, raising the standards. It's about renewal, because Uranus and Aquarius is about renewal. It's about change. It's about rebellion and about the group and community. It is about your individuality, your specialness that contributes to a larger whole. And it is about connecting, and it is about, your weirdness that now counts. The one that is now different is the person that is gonna thrive. And the one that knows how to connect and does things with others will live, will survive. So if you're doing things alone, you're gonna feel so alone, because everybody is fucking weird right now, because everybody is divided. Jupiter-Saturn is squaring Uranus, which makes it explosive, unexpected. Everything is so unpredictable. 2020 was not even unpredictable, because we had Earth. We still have Earth with Sun and Mercury, but it's more conscious. Now, at a very deep level, things are changing so much, and it's huge change. Mercury, Sun, it's acute. So you see change. You might think that things are like the same for 30 days, or not even 30 days. Like Mercury takes 2 weeks, or to go through a sign. So but we still got the Sun 30 days. So for the next 30 days, you might have the illusion that if you hold on to a tradition and to society and to the structure and to the rules, that you can have control. But then that's going to be a hard lesson when after 30 days you find out, fuck, I'm not in control. So you better already understand that you're not in control, that it's about the group and it's about society. Jupiter Saturn is also about science and about scientific advancement. So this is pretty hopeful. I think this is where the power shifts to the people, but also with, Uranus and Taurus, it's at very critical degrees in the sense that it is linked to the degree where a lot of wars started in the 30s and in the 40s, 1900s. So, and it is funny because, that whole injection, that's what Uranus, explosion in Taurus, the physical body really is. And that's what they did in the 30s and in the 40s. And the South Node was there too in Sagittarius. And, there's a guy called Goebbels and Adolf something ring a bell, and it's just funny because that's exactly what is happening right now. It's just not so cataclysmic yet, but Mars is squaring Pluto, and that is fighting, that is war, that is getting physical. So, we can focus on that, but honestly, let's focus on Jupiter Saturn in Aquarius, raising the standards of humanity. And it's squaring Uranus, so it's not going to be easy. It's squaring the people, so there's going to be there's rebellion because Uranus, there's Mars square Pluto, which is fights, and so there's a lot of resistance, and Uranus is squaring, so it makes it unpredictable. And Uranus in Taurus is retrograde, so all of humanity needs to be reflecting on how they can cooperate for a new Earth, squaring Jupiter Saturn, and how they together need to raise the standards. And for everyone who does not do that, they're fucked. So those who do, they kind of have it lighter in a way. But still, it's about how can you engage a whole audience. So, but this is where the critical mass needs to be attained in a way. Because you don't need everyone. You just need a couple of people with just the right quality of heart-brain coherence, light, and group meditation. And I can already feel how important this day is going to be. Because, just for Circles of Lights, which happens on the 21st, which is gathering via Instagram Live, and in Antwerp physically connecting, imagining and dreaming a new world out of love and light, and sending love and light. This is what Jupiter Saturn in Aquarius is all about. It's the fifth dimension. It's connecting with outer realms, beyond the physical, beyond the limits of the third dimension of Saturn. Saturn is in Aquarius, which is like, okay, I have to open my boundaries in a way. But the counterpart can happen, right? Where the mad scientist becomes restrictive, square Uranus, so squaring the people, doing tests on people, science using people, so that's the friction here. But for those, that's the beauty of it. All these spiritual traditions saying that this is the moment where a new humanity, a new human being is born. So, and it has to do with realizing your potential. And, the inner is reflected in the outer. So, the fact that we are advancing in science, is a counterbalance for the inner part. So the realization can be made inside that whatever is happening outside is actually coming from within every human being. And so that is the only thing that needs to be seen, that connection. And that's the beauty of it, of Jupiter Saturn in Aquarius, is about connecting, and it's about electricity and water. Like, wind and water, electricity, zah. So the Kundalini yoga practice of triggering the nervous system, Uranus square Jupiter Saturn. This is new downloads, new information. This is the nervous system upgraded. This is your inner net that becomes just as important as the internet. But the important thing is that you need to connect. And that's the realization too that comes with this Jupiter Saturn in Aquarius, is the raising of the standards of your spirituality with Moon on Neptune. The raising of the standards of who you can be. You know? And Mercury Sun, be that authority. Grow the fuck up. And take ownership. Be the leader. Mars square Pluto. Act and transform in your actions. Have the courage to realize that you are light and love. And honestly, I'm having so much exciting hope what's going to happen on this 21st of December. It does not necessarily mean that we're all gonna this huge massive feeling and like everybody's gonna be enlightened, but the actions that we take, though, the realization that will come and that will grow, the new light and love that will connect, and the resonance that will be caused is going to have a massive effect. So I'm seeing it. And the cool thing is, I've been seeing it in my meditations where we connect in the grid. And then other people start saying the same freaking story. So it is happening. It is exciting. People are awakening. Jupiter Saturn can have a freaking hard time on us too. But it does not necessarily need to be. It's just, it's really about now learning that the inner is the outer. Period. And you need to raise your standards. You need to grow up. Mercury, Sun in Capricorn. Grow the fuck up. Let go of the illusions of the stories that they're telling you. Neptune square denotes delusionment. And then honestly, this is where you do your scientific studying, your whole investigation. So, and it's not that you have to be a scientist and that you have to go through all this science, but you just need to be open for the new science to be introduced and instantly apply. Gather your forces. It's the only thing I can say about that. Here's to that. It is very hopeful. It is, I said everything. Connect, community, spirituality, grow. Be courageous and challenge. Stand in your truth. Stand in your own value. No one needs to tell you who you need to be, what your value needs to be. Only you. And then you connect with the same people that have the same values. And you just expand their critical mass. But it always has to come from Moon Neptune, a love for life, a love for source, a love for connection and understanding that the polarity is just a way for the ego to being kept alive. And that is what what is happening in the world, with all these things like Black Lives Matter and all these movements, the women that fighting for their rights, and rightfully so, but that's 3D. So it has validity, and I think it's important that we need to recognize this. at the same time, we need to realize and transcend that. Because, if you are for something, then you are just pulling that polarity towards one side, and it needs to have a counter reaction. So you're keeping that alive. You're keeping the other side alive. And you're going to keep fighting. You're going to keep balancing. You're going to keep balancing out until you learn the lesson of the middle path. That's it. That's just it. So come together. I hope, just pray for the earth every single day right now. How you start, because there's Mercury Sun on the 0 degree, Jupiter Saturn on 0 degrees, so it's like explosive. It's like new intentions. It's a new start. It's new moonish. So however you start this winter solstice, that's how the energy is gonna be divided, or not be divided, but just being distributed. How you start something is already 50% of what will happen next. So let's start this with a bang, and let's show that we're light workers. No more, fear, no more lack of self-confidence. You need to stand in your truth. You need to own that. You need to believe fully in yourself, constantly though questioning in a way whether that truth is still valid, and being observative and with love. But you need to make a stand, because that's what you show to source, and that's what will manifest. And we don't need, we don't have to change matter with matter. We understand now that we're energy, and that it comes from the heart and the mind, and let that be the gift that we are given. So let's use that. Amen. See you next week in a whole another world. Much love. The Leo Mystic. Peace.